Hello, everybody. How you guys doing? Let's draw. Let's do some stuff. So we have about 5 pages left in this sketchbook. Hello, lama numi. Whimsical Wingus, how you doing? How are you today? Welcome back to another lesson. My name is Rod. I'm an artist. I'm a designer. I teach, I draw, I illustrate. And I like to come on here and teach people how to draw stuff. So welcome. How are you guys doing today? Ivan Soriano. Hey, doing pretty well. Been celebrating Memorial Day today. Yeah, I have no idea what Memorial Day is. Like, I don't think... I know I normally have it off work whenever I do have, like, jobs. But other than that, I have no idea what Memorial Day is. How's it from Hawaii? How you doing? So, you guys want a new cool trick? You guys want to know a cool new trick? So if you take a circle and you divide it in half and you draw a little circle, you have access to drawing something similar to a skull really quickly. It's pretty interesting. Being able to draw a quick shape that kind of looks and resembles a skull is pretty useful, especially if you are a character designer. Yo, homie, I've been sitting here practicing some of your tutorials for a few hours and didn't know ours were live. Hey, how you doing, man? Using an arrow method is great. Yeah, the arrow method is cool. We can thank Wes, my cool mod, for that one. That one was pretty cool. I found your channel this morning and watched some of your stuff, and your stuff helped me a lot. Woohoo! Yay! I'm getting good feedback today. That's amazing. Thank you. I'm glad I'm helping, you know? I'm glad I'm doing good. Music for thoughts. I have a question for you. My girlfriend is struggling severely with her confidence in her art, to the point of every line she draws she hates. She's practically given up. Any advice? Just curious. Whew. Okay, so the thing is, art in itself is it's a very close to your heart thing, right? Sometimes when we feel like we haven't accomplished what we could have or what we should have when we compare ourselves to others, we end up in a situation where we lose joy because we are not happy where we are or how far we've come, and we don't see that. The only thing we see is the things that we haven't accomplished, right? So in situations like that, it's really tough to get people out of that mindset because their level of accomplishment is based on something they've most likely never have achieved. They've never achieved it, yet they find themselves putting themselves up to that standard. And it makes it really, really difficult to explain to them, hey, even though you're not there, you're still pretty fucking cool. Because they put themselves in that cage. And it's a really difficult, situation to break out of. So what I would suggest is just keep on reminding her how cool it is that she draws things. If she draws from her mind, she draws like comics or stories or characters or whatever. Just encourage that. Encourage that as much as you can. Encourage that and like tell her how awesome it is that she's doing that and pursuing her dreams and stuff like that. Be her pillar. And, more likely than not, sooner or later she'll pick up her sketchbook again and she'll just start having fun. And then when she starts having fun, just make sure to encourage that even more. So, Cherish, hey, amazing. Rodgon, what's poppin', bro? Hey, what's up, man? Extreme, maybe. How's it going? Do a drawing challenge. Yeah? What drawing challenge should I do? What do you suggest? What would you like to know? What do you want to see? Because I can show you guys how to draw stuff. You can talk. I mean, I've learned how to draw the entirety of the human body, and it's really cool. Really cool to be able to see through your shape and be able to draw different elements. It kind of feels like you have like X-ray vision once you get to this point, because you can actually see where things and elements go before you place them. When you get to the point where you have more control over your placements and your shapes and stuff like that, your perspective, your anatomy, once you start finding that, it's not as difficult as you might think. It's just normally explained really, really weird. But once you realize that and you have a couple things click, just designing comes a little bit easier, because it's not about what you can draw, it's about what you want to draw. And that's another barrier that you have to hit when you get there. That barrier is being able to use your imagination to how you have always thought that you could. And a lot of times people can't. Are you live on TikTok too? Yeah, sometimes. Are you self-taught? Drawing wise, I'd say I'm like a good 90% self-taught. I do know something we can apply that you taught us. I don't know. You can draw, I don't know, portraits, busts, really easy if you just learn how to draw a compass and a cylinder. You can draw like, I don't know, all the superhero stuff, caricatures and stuff like that. Come from understanding how to draw the proportions like this. Do you have any tips on how to make the arms and legs look good? Yeah, yeah. I mean, arms and legs. Okay, let's start with legs. If you want to draw legs better, realize that you just have to draw an arrow. This is such a cool concept. An arrow, just draw an arrow, draw 2 circles from those arrows, and now you have hip bones. If you draw your head up here, that can be your spine. When you draw your rib cage, in between them, you end up with most of the body system connected, and you have yourself a body. A compass up here generates the collarbone that you can use to be able to draw your arms in the right place and pose them and stuff like that. Your legs come from here and they go in the way of a teardrop and a stick. If you draw a teardrop and a stick, kind of like a chicken wing, you just have to draw the muscles for the calf behind it. And you can have yourself really cool looking characters. You don't have to stick to the super cartoony look. But I particularly love cartoons more than anything, so I draw them all the time. Not right now. I'm not live on TikTok right now. Can you make... No, I'm not... Okay, please, if you think it's no, just no, okay? I'm working on a pic for Memorial Day and my body placement is off. Any thoughts? I don't know what you're drawing. How am I supposed to know? You're not showing me what you're drawing. So that's kind of a silly question, don't you think? Show me what I'm doing wrong. I can't see what you're doing. But no, you're showing me how I'm doing it wrong. But I don't know what you're doing. Like, that's just silly. All right, so I'm going to start blocking people. So if anybody starts getting annoying, I'm just going to block you. I'm not even going to ask you. I'm just going to block you. So you have 2 seconds to stop being annoying. You can sit back, relax, and learn, or you can just get blocked. That's it. Keep your opinions to yourself. The next person in the comments to start instigating anything, I'm just going to block you. So please, Mr. Bravo, please just make my day, man. Just let me block you because you're annoying. Deal? You be quiet, I don't block you. You're not quiet, I block you. And just interrupt the whole class, so it's not kind of like you're not annoying. Oh, good. Jesus Christ, finally shut up. People are so annoying on chat. Goodbye, buddy. I don't want to hide them. I want to block them. Doesn't matter. Whatever. Can't see it. Can't hear him. Can't see it. Same thing. Hey, Rod, what's your favorite animation style? Like your stop motion claymation? Ooh. My favorite animation style still has to be 3D animation. It has to be 3D animation. Mostly because it's just so cool. Like, it has made everything that we do so incredibly visually appealing. Like, there's nothing that we can't make super freaking cool nowadays because of the advances of 3D animation. So essentially, it made it so it's never again the visuals that are going to put a story down. It's going to be the concept and the stories that are going to either make or break it. So it takes away the whole concept of having it look like, oh my God, is it going to be exceptionally beautiful? No, it's always going to be like that now. Like the actual concept of making something look cool is going to be like moot. You're going to be able to make something beautiful. You're just going to have to learn to actually make something worth watching. Hey, Rod, Laman, can you go over cylinders on the head? Yeah, absolutely. We can totally go over that. So, there is a little trick that I like to do for heads, especially when I discovered that I could just draw a little compass. I discovered that I could draw a cylinder for the heads. How does this work? Well, this is the opening for the rib cage, right? That little hole that you see is a combination of your muscles and your bone structures. The muscles that you have are muscles that connect in the back. In the front is this mixture of bones that lead up to where your shoulders are. So you simplify this by creating this. This opening right here that you have is going to roughly be the same size of the opening for your jaw. So your jaw structure is going to be roughly the size of that cylinder. And it's also just going to give you access to being able to draw both sides of your head really easy. So now that you have that, you have a jaw, and if you want to create a style for this, you taper this. You just taper it a little. Create a shadow for the jaw, and then you connect your ear to the bottom of where the middle of the collarbone. Then you have yourself a face. I love your art style. How do you bring the most simple lines and shapes together? You make it easier than it looks. I love your perspective on how you draw. Thank you. I appreciate that. A lot of the times it is easier than we think, though. And it's not necessarily like just a magical point of view of mine. A lot of the times we overcomplicate the concepts in front of us. We just have to learn to see one or two little things differently most of the times, and then we can have access to all that, imagination and everything that we want to draw at our disposal. But we just have to unlock that a little bit. And believe it or not, a lot of it is math. A lot of it is math. A lot of it is percentages, angles, situations like you can do a whole head very simply by drawing a couple lines. Actually, the most of the human body can be drawn with just simple lines and circles. If you understand how things connect to your body, aka the reason that we take anatomy and stuff like that, it's not to learn how all the muscles look or the shadows. No, no, no. It's to understand how the body connects to itself, so that you can actually use this knowledge to be able to draw a basic mannequin. The concept of creating a very basic mannequin that allows you to be able to draw different things on it is one of the core components in being able to be a designer in general, especially if your focus will be comics or will be storytelling. A lot of it comes from just understanding a very simple way to draw a human body, and then from there, using variation to be able to generate things like other characters. Okay? Using variation, you can create every single body size. You can make a person skinny, you can make a person really big, you can make a person fat, you can make a person very big hips, skinny legs, everything if you know how to shrink and move those. Does perspective help with foreshortening? Yes. Perspective and foreshortening go hand in hand. Let's take into consideration 3 little circles. If we draw the 3 little circles the same size and connect the edges, they kind of look like they're on the same plane. If I make 2 little circles the same, but then I make one bigger, then that starts looking like it's coming towards us, especially if we overlap some lines. If I overlap this even more, so I draw these, and then I draw this like this, connect the edges, I start getting a lot more of that effect of it coming towards us. What happens if we make it smaller? It looks like it's going away from us. So using this effect is what foreshortening is. Foreshortening is the element of being able to bring something forward in space like a shoe or a knee or a foot or a finger, right? Anything in this direction, and then also being able to move that element back in space at the same time with just putting the elements to the different directions. Instead of making them bigger, you make them smaller. And I see the simple shapes and most structures in anatomy. That's why I love your perspective. It's helped me see, yay, Black Jesus. What do you think about the state of indie animation? I don't know about the industry of animations. I honestly don't know shit about the industry, like in the actual studios, because I don't look for that. I don't care about that. Um, I am the most disconnected artist that you guys would probably ever meet. I don't like whenever somebody tells me about the industry, something about new about the industry, I just hear it from somebody else. I'm not the person that goes out and searches for that new stuff or that new like whatever is going on. I really don't. I just focus on doing me, and then I just do that. I just do me. I don't care what other people are doing. To me, it's irrelevant what other people are doing. It doesn't affect my life. So therefore, if it doesn't affect my life, I tend to zone it out. It's kind of weird. No, don't be sorry for asking. Sorry for asking more than one question, but I don't know how to draw hair, specifically short hair. Cool. Let's draw short hair. So hair is actually quite easy. If you already know how to draw a hairline, which you told me you already know how to draw long hair, so you don't need to draw the hairline. The hairline is a little bit above the eyebrows, right? And encompasses the side of the head. So that's where the hairline goes. The hairline is going to, if you have short hair, it's going to be either little dots, like dots to create like a buzz cut type of situation, just dots, or it's going to be little baby zigzags. The zigzags represent hair that's very short, like grass. If you do zigzags, you need to do zigzags here. If you do dots, you don't need to do anything except that color. But if you have little tiny hair, it's kind of like grass. Okay? If it gets longer, it's still like blades of grass. And if it gets really long, it's like weeds. They wrap around and they fall, but they always grow up and then they fall down. Okay? It's always up and down, up and down. That's all. Hey Rod, just discovered your channel and it's very, very inspiring, informative, and your art is real great. I also mainly draw with the same ballpoint pen. Woohoo! That's really cool. Worked in it for 5 years, left for health reasons, cost of the work. Yep. No. Like the thing is, okay, like when you want to work for a studio, you're essentially signing your time and your energy away for a paycheck and a little line in the credits of a TV show. That's what you're doing. You know, you're not. Very rarely, very rarely is it gonna align with what you want to get out of things. Very rarely. And when it does, man, it sucks when they cut it out of your like the bottom of you, you know. And I've been there. And I sound bitter because I am bitter. I don't like, like the actual like act of getting rid of your art departments and stuff like that. That's to me, it's just like, ugh. And when they let go entire, departments because the show's over or whatever, then what do? You have to like jump to another show. you need to jump to another thing. You need to do another thing and another thing. And it's always going to be a never ending jump between things. And quite frankly, that's something that I could never like be okay with. It feels way too exploitative. And it just feels like I don't know, like it shouldn't be like that, you know? And when an industry feels like it shouldn't be that way, it's most likely because some people are getting taken advantage. Your artist encouraged me to play around with perspective. Hell yeah, dude. Hail to the years. That's great. I'm glad I could encourage you. I'm Nicole, and I'm really good sketcher, and I want to be an artist when I grow up. So 100% support you in your journey. And yep, I'm subscribing right now, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. Thanks for explaining. I appreciate a lot as a struggling starting artist. So I've had to out soon, but do have a nice day. Hey, you're welcome. Please tune in next time. Tank Unicorn, how do you go about exaggerating the facial features of female versus male characters? Well, if you wanted to exaggerate the facial expressions of any character, it doesn't matter if you're male or female, you need to learn how to draw the human skull. Why? Because you just need to learn where the positioning of things go. Okay? You need to understand the elements that consist of the head so that you can exaggerate them and modify them later. If you don't understand, for example, that the nose comes from a little triangle, right? So that little tiny triangle in your skull that you have your little nose canal, that is right next to your eye sockets. So that little magical little box, it can be simplified into a triangle. And this contains your nose canal. This is going to be the top of your nose. That's the bottom of your nose. So anything that you draw in between will be a perfectly well-placed nose. You'll eventually learn how to make them outside of that box and make them look good, or even smaller than that box and make them look good too. You will eventually learn how to draw that from the side, in any direction you feel like, because it's just a triangle. It's not overly difficult. Okay? If you want to draw a big nose, make a big nose coming out of that triangle, connected back to the bottom of the triangle. If you want a little tiny one, do a little tiny one. The top of the triangle touches the bottom of the triangle. Anything that you do that touches the ends of the triangle is gonna be a perfectly playable nose. Okay, so now that we know that, if we input a triangle into any shape, we have access to drawing a nose within that shape. That triangle, if you follow the triangle down, it gives you your cheeks and your mouth line. Or, more importantly, it gives you your teeth line. The lips and the mouths go around the teeth. They just wrap around the teeth. Okay? So if you want to draw something with, like, I don't know, a Joker smile or something, this is your teeth. Draw your opening for your mouth, and you know where the negative space is supposed to be, because that's your teeth line. Okay? So that's how you use that. Once you understand that, this is your eye socket. If you go up the triangle, down the triangle, you get a teardrop, right? Going up the triangle, that gives you an hourglass. And that hourglass, if you just close it out with circles, It gives you your eye sockets, where it contains your eyeballs, your cheek muscles, and your cheekbone that allows you to be able to connect everything together. And it doesn't matter what styling you choose. Okay? You can go with super complex stylings or super simple styling. It's the same thing. Because you're not going off of like anything other than just human anatomy. Gallon, Freeland, hey, Rud, Tank Unicorn. That makes sense. I'm also curious as I've noticed people tend to exaggerate male facial proportions far more. The thing is, if you start exaggerating, let's say, the chin too much on a female character, let's draw a little cute little character, okay? So let's say we have this little cute pinup girl. Yay, cool. She's gonna be smiling, she's gonna have a nice normal like face. If we start exaggerating her chin, well, oh good, it's gonna look more manly. It's just gonna happen. If we start changing the face structure, like to make her like nose bigger, it's gonna lose the femininity that comes along with soft features that come with women. So if you want more masculine features, you make them more bulky. If you want more feminine features, you make them more finesse. And that's just normally like how it goes along with the art and illustration. It's not all men are like this, or not all women. No, no, that doesn't matter. That's not what this is about. Okay, this is just generalizations for illustrative purposes. So for illustrative purposes, I have to make sure that I can explain what the differences are between male and female. I understand that not everybody fits within those criteria, and that is for you guys to determine based on whatever you guys see necessary and fit for your designs. I'm just here to teach you how. I'm not teaching you how to apply it. You can do whatever you want with the knowledge. Dude, that's the thing Disney does with female characters. Yeah. Because that's appealing. That's what it looks like. That's what an appealing design looks like. That's what it sells. So that's why they do it. Rodgon, he estado dibujando mucho últimamente y estoy trabajando para mover la perspectiva, la brújula que me enseñaste, especialmente en perfiles. ¿Podrías ayudarme? All right, so he's asking for the compass. So how do you take this little compass and how do you make this 3/4 view? Right? How do you make a 3/4 view look from a side? So if we see this, a circle, if we start turning this circle around in space, you're gonna eventually get to a line. But we don't wanna get to the point where it's just a line. We wanna stop a step before that. From there, if our triangle has a top and a bottom, and you expand it, boom, to the side, there's no side here. The side is coming towards us. So that's gonna be more towards here. The collarbone goes in the front of the body, and then the back muscles wrap around the back of the muscle. Your arm is gonna be right here. Okay, your arm at this angle is gonna wrap, your shoulder is gonna touch the front of the collarbone, your shoulder is gonna touch the back of the collarbone, and it's gonna give you the volume for your arm. From this little circle, the same thing. A cylinder goes up, and that same cylinder is a little bit arched because your spine has a natural curve to it. If you draw a little circle that matches the width of this, you can just draw a straight line up and draw yourself your jaw. Taper this down, and you have yourself a neck. From here, you would draw separate the bottom of the ear, and then you would draw half of this, circle, circle, teardrop. Triangle happens in the very front of this, right? You draw a circle, you're going to have these two little triangles on the side. That's the triangle from the front view. So that triangle gives you your nose. You don't have to guess. That's your teeth line, so you draw your lips around your teeth. Then you connect it back. You already drew your jaw. So that is why you do it like this. Because this is the easiest way to go about drawing your heads in a proportioned way to your actual design. So that is something that you guys can take home and do. But that's how you would approach this from the side. All the muscle, like if you had like pectoral muscles and stuff like that, all the volume gets pushed forward from the rib cage. This is your rib cage. This is just your bones. Any big muscles that happen to be had are gonna grow from that. They're gonna come forward, okay? Including your ab muscles and stuff like that. That's gonna come forward from your rib cage. So that's another cool tip that you guys can take to the bank. Oh man, it's been a fun day today. Quite productive. It's been like 3 streams. I'm just trying to finish the sketchbook, honestly. You're so close. So, let's see. What have we talked about recently? So we were talking about ratios for the head. We were talking about like how that structure happens for like different things. Like how you can use the rule of 3s. We drew a bunch of cool things like Bernie, dragons, wolves, some Pokemon. And overall, the actual sketches are coming a lot easier and a lot smoother and a lot more freeing. So the next sketchbook is going to be an absolute beast. Like we went through this in a month. Like we finished this whole sketchbook in a month. That's so badass. It's not quite a 2-week sketchbook like I normally used to do, but it's about 1 month sketchbooks are pretty good too. Se me quemó el arroz. Sorry. Hey, Brittany, how you doing? All right, so let's see. Let's finish one more page here. And then I'm gonna go play some music on TikTok. Actually, no. You know what? I'm just gonna finish this page and then I'm gonna go play some music on TikTok. I like playing music on TikTok. Like, they don't copyright my stuff if I play music, so I like going over there and just like playing playlists and drawing. Like, that is my favorite way to pass the time. It's just fun. You guys should come join us someday. Learning how to overlap your lines will be the one thing that you guys will never forget and you guys will benefit from the most out of your whole careers. Just learn to overlap lines a little bit better. Learn to draw through your shapes and learn to overlap lines. You guys will thank me later. Like, that's literally the biggest breakthrough that you get. For compass for dogs. Yeah. Anything with the legs, you can use that. Legs or arms, honestly. But for the legs, I like to keep the legs and the arms differently. Because what's life without a little whimsy, you know? But yeah, you can use this for pretty much any animal that has a rib cage. Any animal that has a rib cage can be used like that. And you can use the triangle method for that too. Because we all have rib cages. And we all have collarbones. We all have hip bones. We just sometimes are animals and sometimes we're humans. Sometimes we have little tiny paws and sometimes we have arms with thumbs and stuff. Sometimes we have a nice little neck into a head, and sometimes we don't have much of a distinction and we have more long ears and muzzles and stuff. So the actual distinction between any mammal is very insignificant. You just have to learn the differences. Entonces, the compass method, yeah. Maestro, disculpa por preguntar otra cosa. Excuse me for asking another question. What advice would you give me for drawing interactions between two or more characters? For someone whose reason and intent. Okay, so if you're trying to interact with two characters, right, you need to learn to draw elements overlapping each other. So a lot of the times, it can be as easy as just learning how to do it with beanbags, right? If you learn how to overlap beanbags so it looks like they're over each other, you can start learning how two elements would interact. When you start making those a little bit more complex, you can start seeing how that can easily turn into two people interacting. See what I mean? Very simple elements can lead to a very complex scene. Two people are no different than overlapping your arm over your legs or something like that, okay? If you have a situation where you have your legs and your arms and you have to show both of them, it's the same situation, it's just more detailed. But you're not doing anything different than just overlapping two shapes and making sure that they have a distinctive separation between them with shadows and line work that allow you to be able to see that it's two characters instead of one. So that's what you would do. But start small. Start small. Start with like little tiny, like overlapping, like hugs and stuff like that. Start with little simple shapes. Little simple shapes will always be like your best bet. Start little, add little elements to them, and little by little build them up until you have an actual character. But you gotta go slow. You gotta go like step by step. Otherwise, you're just gonna end up in trying to draw incredibly complex overlapping things, and at the same time, you're gonna end up with the inability to draw them accurately. So start small and then move on to something more complex later. Does that make sense? Oh man. Okay. So I think with that being said, we are going to call it a night for us here today. Thank you so much for being my students. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Be careful Memorial Day. If you guys are going to go out and drink and stuff like that, just be safe. I want to see you guys tomorrow. Okay? I want to be able to teach you guys again sometime tomorrow. So be safe. Be careful. Be responsible. Don't drink and drive. Don't smoke and drive. I know I sound like your dad, but fuck it. Someone has to be. So you guys take care. See you guys tomorrow for another one. All right? Later, guys.